What is hermeneutics? Hermeneutics is the science of interpreting and studying a written text. If you want a good Bible definition, you can go to Nehemiah 8 verse 8, which says, "They read from the book of the law of God, making it clear and giving the meaning so that the people understood what was being read." Hermeneutics aims to bridge the gap between the then and there of the Bible times to the here and now of our present day. To find out what it means, we have to understand what it meant originally. So why is hermeneutics important? Why do we need to interpret the Bible? Why can't we just read it and then just do it and understand it at its face value? When I was a young Christian, I thought, well, that's all you need to do. You just read it and just do it. Well, two things will affect our understanding of what the Bible is saying: the nature of the reader and the nature of Scripture. So let's look at the nature of the reader. First of all, your life experience will affect the way you actually understand the Bible. If you've just become a father, you will understand the fatherhood of God in a very different way from before. If you grew up with a father who was oppressive, aggressive, you're going to struggle to understand that the father can be a good father. Secondly, culture. If you grow up in the Western world, you have a very different mindset from the African continent. If you grow up in Africa, you're probably much more aware of the spiritual reality, the spiritual battle, the spiritual warfare that's going on. In the West, not so much. If you grow up under an oppressive political regime, verses about releasing the oppressed and setting the captives free may hold very real value for you. In Latin America countries, that sort of experience has led to the development of liberation theology. Thirdly, your prior understanding. Someone that's grown up in a Catholic church will have a very different view of communion and the role of the Virgin Mary from somebody that hasn't grown up in a Catholic church. Fourthly, presuppositions. You can read the Bible with rose-tinted glasses or particular filters. So, for example, some Christians hold on to the tradition that the miracles and miraculous works all ended with the apostles. So after the first century, there haven't been healings and miraculous works, and people don't have prophecy and those sorts of spiritual gifts. This was brought home to me really clearly once when I was doing a ministry time in a church down in Exeter, and there were a group of people there who were from different churches. And as we began the ministry time, I just shared one or two things that I felt God was saying. And one of those things was it fitted so specifically a couple who were there that they came up to me afterwards and they said to me, "Who told you about us?" And I said, well, what do you mean? Who told me about you? I mean, I don't really know people in Exeter at all, actually. I was only there for that day. And they said, no, somebody must have told you about us, because what you said was so precisely accurate to our situation that they must have told you. And I said, well, no, actually, I just felt that was what God was saying, so I shared it. And I could see the confusion on their faces, and I began to realise that they were from one of the churches in Exeter that did not believe in spiritual gifts for today and believed that all the healing and all the miracles ended with the first generation. And so they could not understand what was going on, what was happening. They hadn't got a framework to understand that somebody could hear what God was saying and then present it to them. Fifthly, theological understanding. For many hundreds of years, there's been a big debate about whether God has chosen you or whether you chose God. That's a simplified version of the Calvinism versus Arminianism debate. And again, your theological presupposition will affect the way you read the Bible. there are all sorts of views on the second coming, for example. Some Bible translations push a particular view about the second coming. So if you ever pick up a Schofield Bible, which was highly influential in the Brethren churches, it has footnotes, and those footnotes present a very strong view on the events of the second coming. So the nature of the reader affects the way that we understand Scripture.